Welcome to Lillie Building Company, Building the Future, Repairing the Past, episode number 6. Big week this week. Projects finishing, new projects starting. I'm 5 years sober on Wednesday, and I'm having a haircut this week too. So let's get into it. Back at Project Duffield, lots and lots going on this week. You can hear all sorts of rattling and banging behind me. We've got scaffold coming down and being altered on the back for rendering. We've got loads been happening in the garden and continuing to happen in the garden. These oak pergolas are in. Some seriously chunky 6-inch English oak there. Beautiful oak as well, love that. So these are all in. We've got more to go in. These are actually going to be lit up. There's some lighting that comes around to light all of this area up here. This doesn't stay, by the way. It's just to stay, to hold the oak in place while we're pouring the postcrete into them. Come with me this way because the porcelain got delivered this morning. So later in the week, we're going to start getting all the porcelain round onto this halfpenny. I feel like I've been talking about this halfpenny for months, and I probably have been talking about it for months, but I'm really excited. Constructions normally all building square boxes, and extensions are all boxes on boxes, and most houses are square. So when we get the opportunity to build something a little bit curvy and a little bit twisted, I really enjoy it. So we're going to make a start on this week. These steps are now in. And again, I just love this pattern. It's partly my idea, the way that we did this, rather than doing this square. So it was a conversation that I had with Peter, the garden designer, on making these offset, and then it falls square here. And then again, it goes offset as it bends around there. We'll have a look at that in a minute. Last time I came down, it was a bit too wet to talk about this, but again, we've sort of cladded the side of these steps again in these London stone bricks, and I love these. We've got a few projects at the minute that we're looking at externals on, and I really like them. Effectively, they're a solid blue brick that's cut in half, all for the pressure of about £7 each. But they're pretty cool. So the scaffolders are dropping the scaffold, altering the scaffold at the back, sorry, for the renderers. Mainly so the heights aren't really tight when the lads are working, doing the rendering, they're not crouching down. So they're going to alter all them, board all that, and then we're going to take the returns off on the side. So I'll go around the front and have a little look at that as well. So we've got a rendered return on this side. So we're going to keep that bit of scaffold up on that there. And the same on the opposite side. There's a couple of things to talk about on there. And now we're getting the back end, sort of the consolidation, we'll call it, for the doors and windows. So these alley windows are now in as well. And the aluminium work has come for the backs of the bifold slider, and the gable frames are here and in. We'll go in through here. Just mind your head as you come through. So this set of doors is for here, which is, really like this stuff. It's really nice. All the same colour as the windows, which is great. Very, very noisy. You all right? These watchdogs says they're looking into potential. Yeah, I'll grab it. So on here, we've got a slight drainage alteration. Where are you going? You're running off. We've got a slight drainage alteration. The client doesn't want to see soil pipes on the back of the house. So again, what we're doing on that is we're altering round, taking a bit of floor out in there, and we're going to run that down the inside, box that in, which means we've got a little alteration to do to the drains on the outside. We'd put a gully in for that already, so we can take the gully out and then put that straight into the chamber and then have a plastered in access hatch here, which is fine, and it means it doesn't alter or impact on that socket, which is good. Which is good in that bit. So plumbers are back Saturday to finish off the bits that they need to do ground floor, because we've got alterations into the bathroom as well. So plasterers have been flying through this, and I think got the first bit of plaster going on in here as well. All right, won't delay these lads, but it's really nice to finally see some plaster going on in this one, and they've got a lot of it to go on as well. So as I mentioned before, these are bedrooms, not into the bathrooms yet, just because we want to concentrate on getting these areas done and then get into there when we're ready, basically. So there's a couple of changes that we've gone through with a client yesterday. Again, like doing curvy things, I love doing bathrooms, kitchens and bathrooms, because there's just so much to choose from, and that means there's so much you can have. So again, we've spent a lot of time looking at different baths for these and niche heights and where we're putting light in. And I mentioned before, as Clients Forever Home, we really want to make sure that we're getting it right first time, rather than putting it in to pull it back out again. And then the kind of jewel in the crown, I think, or one of them, is over on here with these with this door set going in, and that top gable frame glaze as well, which is going to look absolutely wicked. We've actually got Velux windows going in up there now as well, which they're electric, made by Facro. I really like Facro, and I spoke about that a few times, but they've been ordered and they are now here and ready, so we can start getting them in hopefully before the end of this week. And the other thing that I didn't mention downstairs or outside is the rear cladding is being delivered, I think, today, so we can start getting that on there as well. So lots gone on here, lots still to do, but it's really nice to see this one taking shape. Let's go ahead just down the road here, about a 30-second walk to a brand new project called Project Steel. Welcome to Project Steel, a brand new project right in the heart of Derbyshire, and we're in early doors on this one. Called Project Steel because there's lots of steel to go in there. The extension itself, a really beautiful open plan, mainly glass extension, and the inside, a big knockout. So loads of steels to go in there, loads of walls to come out, loads of alterations with services, really nice, meaty, juicy products. I'm going to talk you through the extension now. We've got a new wall going in here, just a little nib there with a set of bifold doors, steel wind post in this corner to form a corner column. And then over here, all of this comes down. We've got a set of sliding doors will go in here, and then the masonry is actually knocked down and then rebuilt to around about there with that big set of sliders going. Part of the second phase, because we're going to complete this and then come back, they are replacing, this will all be like a new EPDM flat roof on there, and then it'll be a glazed balcony that goes on top. So I think we'll post the drawings in so you can see what that's going to look like. That big knock through inside, the lads have already started on that there, and part of that means that there's this wall coming down, there's this wall coming down as well, and this will create an open plan kitchen dining area. As I said, the service on this one are already kind of in, but we've got drains to pull into the centre of the room, which makes it all the more complicated, but drainage is never simple on extensions, is it? One thing we have got on this one, which I'm really grateful for, is the drainage chamber here, the inspection chamber. We've got more than enough depth to take us to where we're positioning our new inspection chamber, which will be here, and then all of the drainage connections fall into that, and it runs basically straight through the house, the front of the house. This wall will also come out. The garage gets converted, there's a couple of walls to go in, and then that forms part of a storage area and a utility room. We've got some big pads to break out and dig out, one being here, one over in the kitchen area, because there's some slam 300 odd mil deep steels to put in, which will support the back of the existing building here. So some real whopper steels. You remember over at Project Duffield, we had that big 300mm deep steel there, which we were able to crane in and almost sort of post through the back wall. On here, we've not got that luxury because we're going to be coming through the front of the garage and then basically spinning them out to install them. This one itself is a bit complicated because of where it lands in the position over here, because there's an offset on the back of the house. So that big chunky steel is actually going to be holding that bit of masonry. So you've got basically two steels that sit side by side. One of the steels will be supporting that small dormer extension, and then literally a couple of foot away there's another steel which supports the back of the house. Two steels going above the doors. One of them will take above the bifold door, one of them takes above the sliding door, and they're connected into this corner column post, which is why we need the fabricators in nice and early to get all of their cutting work done, all of their welding work done. And it's essentially on the inside, all of those big steels get connected together by small steels to take all of the upstairs walls. So hence the reason for Project Steel. Lots and lots of steels going in. It's going to be great to see this one come together. It's part of a two-phase. So we're going to get phase one done first, pull away for a couple of months, and then the second phase, we put the glazing around the balcony. There's some cladding to do, some piers to do on the front with gates and all that kind of stuff. So again, lots and lots to do on this one. Let's take a drive down to the south of the county, over to Project West, where we've got the electricians in there doing their second fix. Welcome back to Project West. Again, lots of things happened since we were last here. Plastering work's now complete. Windows and doors now complete. Client's done their decoration. Nick the Sparky's in and he's getting his second fix done. So switches going on, sockets going on. Got a couple of little bits to resolve on here. One of them tomorrow, we're putting a piece of oak in on the ceiling so these long hanging pendants can go on. The pendants have got like a cover plate on there where the cable will come through there, and then that basically hides all the gubbins. But because there's the triangle at the top, I'm going to put a piece of oak in to create a little flat space. So unfortunately they don't make lights to suit that triangle. Other thing that's happened here, the floor covering's in, down, it's been protected so the client can do their decoration works, and we've got skirtings, and our skirtings are all more or less complete as well. If you remember, last time we were here, I was talking about how uneven that floor was there to that floor here, to what that was going to be, because there was a bit of a ridge that kind of came up by about 15mm. To Danny's dismay, what we've been doing the last few days is we've ground all of this down and then put a little bit of self-leveling compound through there, and then we can basically tile up, and that finishes bang flush with the top of that Condine floor. We've then got TVs being dropped, that radiator disappears, got a vertical radiator going in there, got a nice tubular radiator going on that, and then client's got a fixed sort of dining room table that comes off there with a bit of bench seating, which can look wicked. So nice quick update from Project West. I'm just going to have a little look around, make sure that everything is as we expect it to be, and then it's over to, again, new project, Project Raptor. Let's get wrapped up here and then we'll go over there. Welcome back to Project Raptor. A couple of weeks in on this one already, making lots of headroom, starting this week with the mezzanine deck and floor going in. Really interesting project on this one. Nice to get back into doing a little bit of commercial work for this commercial bar fit out. I'm going to keep it light because I want the lads to be able to crack on and make as much noise as they need to make without them getting in their way. But follow me this way slightly. I'm just going to talk you through what's what over here. Starting with, as I discussed before, we've taken all of the old latex off of this floor. It had previously been used as a marketing suite for a building just around the corner, which I believe was student accommodation. So in here, they'd had mock-up units of kitchenettes, bedrooms, all that kind of stuff. All that latex has been removed, which has given us a nice clean floor plate to work with. And we've now got this mezzanine structure going in, which is going to form part of the upstairs toilets, the upstairs seating area, and then downstairs gives us an opportunity for the bar, and then we've got office going in there, kitchenette going in there, toilet for staff, got a DDA compliant toilet over there in that corner, which we've taken the top off of, and it looks like we're now going to have to rip the whole of that down on inside, just slightly on the design, doesn't quite work with where we need to put services and stuff, so I think that's actually going to have to be ripped out, rebuilt, and then the ceiling go back in. Lads have made really good room on this so far. We're getting this mezzanine structure in place and managed to get basically all of this up in the last couple of days. Going to spend the rest of the week getting the remaining alley beams in there, and then there's all the deck to go in, and then complete the staircase. And next week we get our joiners to come in and start getting the first fix, joinery, stud work, door casings, all that kind of stuff in and ready. So lots going on here and lots to come on this one as well. Like coming to this job because there's a couple of really good coffee shops nearby. So we're going to go and get a coffee, and then we are going to head back over to Project Penny, where Nick and Finn's over there cracking on with some superstructure. Welcome back to Project Penny. Remember, we did a fair old bit of filming on this one originally around phase 1, which was the groundworks package. So bulk excavation, getting that concrete in, getting this brickwork up to DPC height, and then that big old block and beam floor. And we had that perpendicular, big word for today, steel that went in to hold that block and beam floor up as well. The boys have been back here for a couple of weeks now working on this superstructure, getting the block work and the brickwork up on there as well. I'm just going to take you for a little walk down just to go through this one. Slightly different to some of the projects we've got on, because we've got this out of sync, not quite square corner, which I've actually had these blocks cut off site and then glued together. They were same people that did the brickwork as well over in Derby. They did those brickwork cuts for us. So lads are starting to plough through. Phase 2 essentially gets us to a watertight shell. That means we've got masonry going up, roof going on, and then we've got the doors and windows going in to get that watertight shell, while our client works on getting the fit out stuff together as well. So they're now starting to think about things like kitchens going in, floor covering, stud wall positions, etc. Moving on to inside. Again, we've got a fair old bit of steel in this one. Certainly we've got two big old steels to go in. One of them's a beam that goes essentially straight across this here for this door and window opening, and then that tees on to this here. Love a bit of Bryan Adams. So that goes on to this here to take, that's actually to the T that goes on there to split the roof because the roof spans. There's a set of internal bifolds that will go across here, so you kind of have eventually we've got a kitchen area going in here with a bit of communal space. This again's communal space over there, and there'll be a log burner going in that corner, part of their long-term plan. And then in here we've actually got a DDA compliant bathroom going in. So as I said before, that 140 wall takes that big old piece of steel to break up that roof span. Then there's a stud wall going across here with a door set in there, and that will give them the space needed for that DDA compliant bathroom. That has actually all been designed pretty much as is the kitchen. And then it's just the other bits that the clients design at the moment. So looking at things like MVHR options, underfloor heating, air source heat pump, all that kind of thing. But Nick and Finn have only been here for a couple of weeks, and it's flown up to a point where we need to now start getting things ready for steels coming in on our end. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, our fabricator at the moment's got a 2-week lead in for their fabrication, which means we need to get our finger out a little bit, or I need to get my finger out a little bit and get that order placed sooner rather than later, because as soon as we've got steels on, it's going to be roof timbers going on, which will be a posi joist system with a furring strip, and then we've got that aluminium roof covering going on as well. So looking great. I can't believe how quick they've got this moving. So the one thing they have got on this one as well is there's a lot of doors and windows, which does make it slightly bigger, slightly quicker, but the windows are huge. So the window height that we've got here, that'll be where our floor finish is, basically up to DPC height, and then from that to here there's a cut to go on there, but that's 1200 to sill height, And then the window itself is actually 2 meters high by 2 meters wide. So they're going to be real big old windows. And then there's a sash bar going in. Originally, all this was designed in as alley, and the client's now opted for changing the material to sapele. So it's going to be a lacquer, an oiled hardwood, which I think will look incredible. They are keeping this internal bifold as an aluminium, which I think again will work quite well because it gives them the opportunity with the bifold systems. I think the aluminium is just that little bit slicker, has a bit more finesse. The mechanism of it's easier because it's a lighter product rather than using something like sapele on a set of bifold doors this size and be really, really heavy. So don't want them to be difficult to open. So work with the client on that. Aluminium here and everything else is timber. But we were just saying that you'll never see the top of the windows just because of how big they are. So, but yeah, this one again is looking great. Love coming here. Love coming seeing progress and stuff on here. And there we go, we've made it to Friday evening, enjoying a cup of tea in my back garden in the sunshine. One of life's really, really simple pleasures, and feeling very reflective, not just about this week, but about life in general. And I'm sure you'll agree, it's been a great week in business and a great week in construction. You can see from the projects that the lads are absolutely flying through these projects at the moment. And sometimes to get from that sort of pre-construction phase to being on site, it can take quite a while. It's not always what we've got in terms of design changes and spec changes. It can be our safety paperwork, procuring items. It can be the same for our subcontractors and sometimes for their suppliers as well. You've got jobs like Project Raptor, which, you know, there's a hell of a lot of time been spent on procuring that, and I'm dead grateful to everyone that's involved in there. I've actually been back today but didn't film anything, just for a little catch up on site. And again, you know, we've now got joiners in there and we've got stud work flying up and it's looking absolutely great. I guess also spending a little bit of time reflecting on life. Massive personal milestone this week being 5 years sober. It's something that I guess I don't really talk about on this channel. I tend to try and keep it just for construction related activities, but one thing that I do want to kind of own into is look after yourself, look after your physical health and your mental health. You know, becoming a parent is one thing that I guess really changed me, helped me to grow, not just in physical form, but in mental capacity as well, and to be responsible for not just my own children, but for our staff and for our staff children and for everything else. I feel like sometimes a real weight of responsibility. So it's nice to sit back and reflect on that. July is an incredibly difficult month. I certainly find that in business and in work, that kind of lift from May to June and July and August, it seems to really hit its peak, where you go from ticking over nice and steady to being really sometimes overwhelmingly busy. And I think we're all feeling that at the moment, especially with the heat, just giving it that little bit of added pressure. Personally, it's a very bittersweet month. I've got the sweetness that it's my daughter's birthday, it's the anniversary of when me and my partner met. You know, but I have the slightly bitterer side when it's my brother's birthday. It's what would have been my brother's 44th birthday next week. And, you know, and that's a real difficult time to have personally, and to sort of manage that time frame as well. So I think it's really important to voice now. I think, as you know, as a man, and I do what I feel is great work with Men's Conscious Collective, and that's something that I'm really proud of, being able to not just support myself and show up for myself, but support other men and show up for other men as well. I think it's really important that we all cobble together to do that. But I guess one thing that I'll always say is make sure you look after yourself, not just on your physical health, but your mental health as well. And one of the most important things that we can do is talk, always. Sometimes, no matter how difficult we feel that conversation is going to be, how hard that pull to have that conversation is, it's really important that we open up and we have that conversation. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's been a great one to make. I've really enjoyed getting around the projects this week and meeting all the lads and re-meeting all the lads. And we've had a new starter this week, which is great. To be hiring staff in this climate is something that I guess is fantastic. And I'm looking forward to doing it all over again next week. So from me, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your week and weekend, and take care.